Former police officer Naomi Oakley was tired of seeing violent scenes at teen parties, so she left the police force to take matters into her own hands.
She now has a private security service and is campaigning for legislation to be changed to enforce safer environments for private events. However, Naomi says that it's ultimately the parents who need to take responsibility. She says parents need to stand up instead of relying on emergency services to clean up their messes after the fact. And she joins us now. Welcome to the circle.
Thank you.
Now, as a police officer, Naomi, how many times did you see these kinds of crazy, out-of-control kids' parties?
Look, I think 50% of response was out-of-control parties. I've been out for 7 years. Back then it was more alcohol fuel violence. Technology has come forward quite significantly. So now, in addition to alcohol fuel violence, we have, you know, gate crash, the American term, gate crash or unwanted guests. So it's a real, quite a diabolical situation. Responding to an out-of-control party was much like a violent domestic. You didn't know what you were going to. Often weapons, garden tools could be utilised to, you know, attack the members and that sort of thing. And you had no idea of numbers and you know, if there was any responsibility at all with the alcohol that was served at the event.
Can I ask, I can't understand it personally, why is there so much absolute hatred and violence? Because that's what it seems fuelled by, hatred.
What I see as a former member now sort of answering calls and also with inquiries for private parties and working the front line is that the parents won't take charge. They won't say, this is how we're going to run the event. I have kids constantly, after I've spoken to their parents about restrictions of alcohol and security measures at parties, ringing me up, abusing me and saying, well, what we want is we want you to be there with your staff. We want to drink as much as we want you to break up fights, and we want you to stop gate crashes. Now, you've got to ask the question, why has the parent allowed that person to get on the phone instead of saying, it's my way, or you're not having it?
Yeah.
So this is what's happening, and they won't put their foot down. So,
and kids post it on the internet, don't they,
correct.
for having a party?
Facebook, MySpace, phones are a major problem. Obviously, when they get into the party, they start sort of SMSing. The whole idea, though, if you plan that party correctly, you can actually prevent a lot of the violence and injuries that are happening out in our streets nationally, not just in Victoria. Any party in any state in Australia needs the same security measures.
Kids, though, can be very persuasive and manipulative.
Correct. Yep.
Sometimes parents just aren't a match for their own teenage children. What advice can you give to some parents that might be planning a party?
A step ahead. I've got a teenager as well. And
I imagine there's no wool pulling over
your
eyes, lady.
I can tell you. I think the other night when I told her she wasn't going to a party, I heard her sobbing outside saying, why do I have to have an ex-copper for a mum and a bouncer?
Here's some of your tips, Naomi. We might go through those for some parents of teenagers.
And definitely the first one, make sure the venue is safe. When you register your party with any police within Australia, what they do is they take the details, they put it there for their shift for the weekend. However, the police do not have the time to actually physically go and check your property. And if you do not have a safe venue, that's diabolical.
What are you looking for a safe venue?
Okay, if you are located near a railway station or a shopping centre, the chance of getting gate crash increase dramatically. If you are in an area that is prone to gate crashes, again, you've got risks. If you have secure perimeter fencing, and then within the property you need to check to make sure that you have, it's almost like a knock health and safety check, make sure you have enough lighting. The pool, if you have a pool, either get a hard cover for it or have it take the plastic off, have a number of parent helpers there.
I'm listening to this, though, Naomi,
I'm flabbergasted.
Some parents, I can understand them hearing this and going, oh, my goodness, that just sounds
so over the top.
And over the top.
Yeah.
What do you say to them when they give you that attitude?
I've had a number of parents that say that, and after the event, we've turned away half a dozen gate crashes. Have come out and they go, thank you so much. Because we aren't in their backyard looking over their kid's shoulder and going, you can't do that. We are there to protect their party, to minimise any form of gate crasher. That's about having experienced personnel, you know, monitoring, observing. If you have potential gate crashers, move them on. Don't let them stand there for 10 minutes because you'll have 50. And also to respond to anything within that party. But if the alcohol is restricted, you have to make sure you have a plan for the alcohol, capping the alcohol, have lots of water. I've got a few tips to the trade that the kids think that I don't know about, but it works. And if you have a managed event, it will be a fun night. And the kids, I mean, I have testimonials from the kids to say that they were so grateful we were there, and in the end they were bringing us our coffee. So
because most kids like boundaries, don't they?
They do, yeah.
And what about, would you actually advise going back to good old-fashioned, sounds silly and prehistoric, but handwritten invitations rather than posting on Facebook?
Honestly, the guest list, the alphabetical guest list, is the best method because it can't be copied. So we get that given to us 30 minutes prior to the event, excuse me, and basically everyone that comes in, they get marked off that list. So it doesn't matter what form of invitation they have, who they tell, they're not going to get in unless they're on the list.
I guess they don't play spin the bottle anymore.
No spin the bottle.
Well, there's some great tips, Naomi, and I think we're going to put some more up on our website.
I think also with my submission in with state government, what we're trying to do is also get councils to follow suit, because I know it seems extreme, but we're really pushing for permits for teenage parties. And in that legislation, we're also trying to create the offence for gatecrasher. There is no deterrent for a gatecrasher at the moment. And what it'll mean is that it'll mean that people that have teen parties will have to apply for a permit, and there'll be a number of recommendations. And obviously, not everyone has to have a permit, but if the police and the emergency services get called to clean up, you know, their mess, that's when they should get fined. And I just sort of think that it's about safety in the community. And you know, there are some fantastic places out there that are perfect venues. Tennis clubs are a fantastic example of that, because, and not all tennis clubs want teenage parties.
That's all in the future. But
exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Naomi.